Laszlo von Lazar, who is the president at Energy and Process Industries at Black and Veatch. Black and Veatch, a long time and venerable company, and we are delighted to have Laszlo with us and to hear from him. Laszlo, please begin.
Thank you, Sheila. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely perfect.
Okay, great. So I have just a couple of slides to guide the discussion, and then we can go into questions here. I can't see the slides, so if you're sharing the content, okay, there it is. We'll just talk about what are some of the mega trends that Black and Veatch is seeing and what we're dealing with right now. So if you go to the next slide, I put something up there that's just focusing on where is growth demand going. And for me, what's important and the message I wanted to share with all of you is basically three things. That's really quick. I have a session, something here saying that the practice session is over. I didn't know this was practice.
You made it perfect.
I probably needed it, right? Let's go to the next one. Oh, here's a picture. I thought this would be interesting to everybody. It's a picture of a battery storage unit that's actually located on a combined cycle plant that we're commissioning right now in Florida. And it's another example of the integration between energy generation, electricity generation, and storage. And we're seeing the same thing happening in our solar plants as well. And it's really, it's a great customer of ours there. And they're thinking ahead, thinking forward in terms of what has to happen and where technology needs to be. And it's started up quite well and going very well. So let's go to the next one. And then look, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about what's going on with supply chain. You talked about the war. You asked about the war in the Ukraine. Obviously, that's had a significant effect. I understand that Ukraine produces about half the world's neon gas, and obviously the countries of Western Europe are going to have to think about their own supply security in terms of fuels and gas. And one of the ones that we're dealing with significantly right now are solar modules. And it's not only the commerce case that's going on right now, but it's just generally supply and all the pieces to supply and what's going on in China. And China's, personally, I mean, it's not a Black and Veatch perspective, but personally, I'm very concerned about the economy, the Chinese economy. And it's not strictly a function of the zero COVID policy, although that's having huge impacts throughout the world. And in some respects, we have a team in China that's our supply chain leadership and team, and it's created an opportunity for us because we have boots on the ground and people there. But China is and what's going to happen with their economy is going to impact us, and it's going to continue impacting us. We're seeing that in copper pricing, steel pricing, but also you're seeing it in trade. A C-van that used to cost $2,800 or $3,000 to bring from China to the U.S. is now $22,000. So those are significant cost increases that we're all experiencing, and it's going to continue for a while, and until the sources of supply chain, so where components are manufactured, where materials are sourced, it's going to stay that way. So it's not, again, it's not something that you can just wish to go away. It's something you have to be active in terms of moving up the supply chain, sourcing materials, hedging the raw costs of materials, and also talking to your customers, our customers, and saying parts of this risk right now is we're unable to manage. So I thought we'd roll to some of the comments that we've seen from suppliers. Go ahead. So these are actual comments that our suppliers have told to us. And so now we're seeing materials, fabricated components have validity periods of a day. We have some of our customers, we do a lot of work in Asia, and some of our customers have the position that the bid has to be valid for 30 days, 60 days. Some of them are significantly more, and we're just saying, sorry, that's not something that can happen in the market. And we're seeing a change. We're seeing a change. Everybody's realizing what's going on. Go on to the next one. What I think is also interesting, and you'll see from the last one, is that the ability to say, yeah, I can get that done by that point in time is going away, because a lot of the people who are actually building the components, they don't ship them, and they're not able to say, yep, I'll have it done. And they may be able to control the fabrication process and even accessing the materials, but they've, like I mentioned, they've really lost all ability to control the ports, control shipping, and and controlling the ports of receivership also. Go ahead. Again, same risks that I've already talked about. I think what's important here is that it's clear everybody's talking about it. I'm sure you all talked about it today. And now let's go on to my favorite one, which is, this is a big steel supplier that can actually manufacture some unique components that's probably not done anywhere else in the world. And the comment was, we'll tell you what the price is when you get the piece of material, which I thought was a great one. Again, from my perspective, you have to deal with it, but it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity to be able to address the risks, mitigate them, and then provide that to our customers. But we're still having the discussion with our customers about, hey, this risk can't be mitigated. And I think what's really important is that you have those open discussions about risk. So go ahead. Okay, go ahead. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. I mean, the last message was the transparency, focus, and talking about what you can and can't get. So go ahead. So we'll go to Sheila if you want. We're basically done. We can go to any questions.
Thank you, Laszlo. You were announced as the president of Black & Veatch operations as part of a, quote, company-wide transformation. Could you describe, what that transformation is and what it means for you in your new role, what new obligations and so on?
Well, basically right now I run we transformed from a solutions-based company to a client-based. And where the solutions for us is like solar power, wind power, water, and basically we've put the solutions together and operations together. So I'm responsible for engineering, procurement, construction, all the functions. And then I'm also responsible for the E&PI market sector.
Very interesting. Interesting indeed. And can you next, I don't know whether we've gone off the screen or what, but the video appears to have stopped, but I'm going to continue to, can you hear me, Laszlo?
Yeah, and I can see you too.
Oh, good. Okay. There have been a lot of twists and turns in the LNG markets. We've had some pretty good discussions on that today. But what do you see as the future? What is going on with LNG, and what do you see its role is going to play in the future, given all the pressure for LNG, the sometimes regulatory impediments, shipping problems, whatever. What do you see for LNG, and how critical is it going to be to keeping the world running?
I think it will stay critical. It's the most effective way of transmitting a very common resource that we have. And the example of what's happening with Ukraine and Russia, it shows that there'll be a role for it, and not only a role for it in like mega plants, which was my experience, but also in smaller methods like we do ship-based floating LNG, and which also is a viable alternative, especially for let's say Europeans, or a market that's structured would be structured for it, like in Germany, where you have small gas companies that can't make the investments that you can be made here in the U.S. or Australia or places like that.
What do you see if you could go out 10 years or 15 years for what the grid is going to look like? What is it going to do? How is it going to accommodate all these new inputs and outputs and demands, and basically not just driven by COVID, but just evolution of the world?
Well, yeah, the need for investment in the grid is just not going to stop. And it's like we talked about here, the ability to harden and now move power from the sea to the shore, as opposed to going from uh, let's just say on Massachusetts, from Massachusetts itself to Cape Cod. Right now, you're going to see it going the other way. So it's not going to stop. And the fact that everybody's going to be uh, charging cars in their garages, and many people are going to be having solar plants or solar rooftop like I do. That's just going to make it harder and harder. And so the investments are going to continue because Angie was talking about, the need for that reliability and certainty in terms of when you flick the switch is huge. And so I don't see investments in that area changing.
Well, thank you so much, Laszlo, for your great insights. Very, very useful, and good luck in the continuing transformation.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.